Hi there guys and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Coachman Lusso 2. These are essentially a basic walkthrough on how you would set up the caravan as if you were coming on or off site. So starting off at the front, you have your hitch head here with silver lever, which you have to have pulled up just like so, allowing you to wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow ball, and then essentially we'll snap down that handle, push up that red button and expose a green ring. You then have a breakaway cable just here. If you have an eye point, legality states it must be used. If not, wrap it around the tow bar. You have your handbrake here, which you just disengage by pressing down, and to engage, just flick up. As you can see, it does come up with a fair bit of force, so make sure your face isn't in the way whilst you do so. You do also have 13-pin electric, so if you've got 7-pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. This 13-pin will also allow you to use Alco ATC. You then have your jockey wheel just here, which you can see is raised right now because I have the auto leveling system. Now, as this has an auto leveling, I will show you how that operates and works. The main thing to note though is that when you first come to use it and you want to put the legs down, you have to have it so that the nose is facing down. So essentially, rather than it being flat, it has to be facing down. Okay. As mentioned, you have your legs either side, and you also have some stabilizer points across the middle. That and motor mover I will allow you to have a look at on collection. Just here we have your gas locker, which has the capacity to put in 2 gas bottles, 6 kilogram. My only recommendation would be running propane rather than butane, especially around this time of year. It has such a better performance. Now this has a gas hose which is attaching onto this regulator, so hose goes onto the bottle, then onto the regulator. These orange hoses will run for 10 years and this one is dated 2023. Coming round to the other side, starting off first, we have your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. Then just here we have your external shower point, which you will need an attachment for. And then we have your plug-in for your water. Now this is an onboard tank system, so when you do collect it, it will be fully drained off, but I will show you how to operate both of them. We're just not running through water today, as November to March, the recommendation is to have it fully drained off unless you're actively using the van. Just here, we have your battery locker, which has new leisure battery just here. If you ever need to replace it, the terminal's on top. You can either use a 12 or 13mm spanner, or there is a battery spanner just there. Then you have your plug-in for your mains just here, with the point for the motor mover behind it. Then you can also thread through the mains lead to lock up the locker so that no one can get through. Just here we have the 2 points where your wastewater will come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to then feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate point on site. And then lastly, we have the toilet function. So up here, this is your flush tank. The flush tank itself contains around 12 litres of water. However, I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10, as you don't want to overfill the compartment. And below, we have your cassette. So to remove the cassette, you press up on the orange handle, pull out towards you. Now this handle can also extend out and up, so it can be used similar to a carry-on suitcase. Once you're at the emptying point on site, twist off the head, open up that compartment, tilt and vent to empty anything out. Now what I would say as well, open up this compartment, feed in a bit of fresh water, give it a bit of a shake, and again tilt and vent, just so it smells nice and fresh. Then on this cap here, you have measurements in both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into that cap, back onto that compartment, spin it nice and casually like how I've done, and then push back the cassette toilet so this orange handle sits behind those white teeth, as then it can't be removed without pressing that up. Now you don't want to travel with either of these two full, so just up here you have a little bung to empty out any remaining water from the tank. The caravan itself will be fully drained off when you collect. Then underneath your right hand side seat, starting off first, we have your Alder compact boiler just here. You can pull back this panel if you ever need to do a reset. Then this silver box here is what is known as your Alder flow, which is continuous hot water. Don't have to do anything with this, but that is what that box is for. Now you can see underneath you have these two yellow switch valves. Now what those are your drain valves. When they're in the upright position as they are now, both of them, this is as well, that is in drain mode. When both of them are down, that means that they're allowing the flow of water to come through. If one is up and one is down, it is just going to drain off as well. Now, when you collect it, it will be in the upright position. November to March, have them up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan, as any water inside the pipes can freeze and burst, and it isn't even covered by manufacturer's warranty as it's classified as user error. These two blue boxes here are essentially your brain boxes for your motor mover. Underneath there you have a solar panel regulator, and then you have all of your trips and fuses just there. All your trips in the upright position and all your fuses in the correct position as well. I'd always say carry some extra fuses with you inside the van. Now, coming along underneath your bed, you have where the onboard tank sits. Now, as you can see, it has this blue handle. When I remove the blue handle, that means that it's in drain mode. When you want to use the onboard tank, you have to have that pressed down and in, so it's nice and firm, like that, as you can see. So that is allowing the water to come through, because essentially, if I remove that fully, you can see that that blocks up a hole that goes straight underneath to the bottom. So what we will do, we will leave it partly in, which is still going to allow any residual water to be drained off, but essentially you just have it like it is there. Then you have all of your pipes which allow the flow of water to come through to your tank. Then just here we have your main control panel. So the time's incorrect just because it's just had a reset, so it's just getting itself logged in essentially. Then you've got these two arrows, so you can circle through. So first up, settings, and then I press the enter button and it allows me to go through display, sound, calibrate water, master is on, set full, set empty, auto pump, notifications, firmware, and then once you've set it to whatever you want, save and exit. Next up you have fill tank. So if I were to have an Akrol outside full of clean drinking water and I wanted to fill, I would press this button here. That would begin to raise the percentage amount. You'd have your blue bar pushed all the way down, and then it would fill the actual tank itself. Then you have pump select, so you could either choose to use the water that would be on the onboard tank, which is internal pump, or I press in there and it goes to external pump, which is the water straight from the Akrol to the boiler to the tap, rather than internal, which is Akrol to the tank, get it heated up, and then to the tap. Usually what people will do, they will fill up the onboard tank first, and then they will use the Akrol as a secondary form. Then you have the water level, which can also be seen on the fill tank selection part. Internal temperature, which is 12 degrees, that will slightly differ between those two. Leisure battery voltage, now when you're plugged into mains, that will show the amount coming from the mains only. When you're only on battery, that will show the amount from battery. Healthy battery amount is anywhere between 12 to 13. And then you're back to the start. You have a pump button here. So this is essentially, you press in the pump button, it will draw through the water from the Akrol, either going to the onboard tank or to straight to the boiler, dependent on what you have it set to. But all you would do is just press in on that. You have internal lights on this button just here, so pressing in, off and on. Then you have awning light, so awning light is on, stub your toe, and then as you can see, awning light is on there. So with the pump, What you can either have it set to, going back to this, let's say I had it on external pump and then I press the pump button, that is going straight from the Acroll. So what you would do is come over to your sink, open up your sink on both hot and cold, and let it run for about 30 seconds. Now, if you've not used it in a little bit of time, wait about 2 to 3 minutes, and it may be quite pressurized to start off with, so you may get the odd cough and splutter. That's nothing to worry about, just let it run through. This is the pump itself here, so it attaches in by just pressing in, then you can press down on the cap. You have this white part to go over the top of the Acroll to ensure no nastiness gets in. And then you have your strainer at the bottom. It's crucial that the strainer has to sit at the bottom of the barrel to allow the maximum potential of water to come through. And essentially you'll know once there's no water inside the Acroll because no water will come out. So always ensure that's at the bottom of the barrel. It is weighted, so it should all be fine. But that is a brief summary of this. So time, settings, fill tank by pressing in that button, pump select external straight from Acroll or internal straight from the onboard tank system, the water level for the onboard tank, internal temperature, leisure voltage, back to the start. Then just here we have your Arda wet central heating. So if you've had this before, they're all the same, to be honest. So to turn this on, pressing on your button here, that green button signifies that it's on, so that screen can turn itself off. So this is with an updated software, so if you've had something previously without the wet central heating, it's very similar. So you have indoor, which you press in, and this is the temperature that you desire. It goes up to a maximum of 30, and then it can go down. You can press and hold, and it will go down and up, but if you just individually press it, it will go up in 0.5. Whatever you set it to, it will get to that temperature in around about an hour to an hour and a half, dependent on what the weather is. So as it's quite a nasty day today, it might take a little bit longer. Pressing on menu, and it shows you the lights essentially. It does have the AC linked to this as well. Then you have your energy. So this is what you want to use to heat the van. So you can either use electric or gas. Now this does have a 3 kilowatt capacity. Some sites, especially if they're absolutely rammed, will not have 3 kilowatt to go through. So my recommendation is just to keep it on 2. So I can either have it on 1, 2 or 3. Then I can also run gas at the same time, or I can just use gas. So I've got the choice of either gas, mains, or a mixture of both. Then lastly, we have your hot water. So you can either have it off, on, which will get the water to around about 40 to 50 degrees, or boost. Now what boost does, it prioritizes the water over the heating of the actual caravan, and it will get it to the temperature in around about 30 minutes. Let's see if this one has the timer. Yeah, so 30 minutes of boost left. It will get to that temperature, and then it will drop it back down to on. So with regards to that, it is also linked to your AC. So the remote itself is fairly simple to use. Press on just here, choose your temperature, and then you have vent and mode. As you can hear, it kicks in. Then you have your mode as well. So auto, ventilation, cold or hot. Simple enough to use. And to turn it off, press in on the button to just turn it off, or I can individually turn it off from here. With the light button, that is just for the lights on the side, so press in and the lights are off. So if you don't want the lights on whilst you're sleeping, you can just not have them on. Then you have your hob, grill and oven. So all of this operates off gas minus the electric plate. Electric plate, just spin it to whatever mark and it will get to temperature. You do have a light button here which you press in, allows you to see what's cooking. Everything else, pressing on the dial, twist it to the side and light it on. Now it may be a case that that will initially light on and then cut itself out. That's just gas making its way through its system. So just relight it and it will be fine. This is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all your burners nice and lit just there. Turn it off back to the central position. Same concept for the grill. As you can see here, grill all nice and lit. And finally your oven. So let me see if I can do this with one hand. You can see there your oven all nice and lit. Only other real thing to note, you need to travel with this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until all of these burners are cold to the touch. You can travel with your gas hose on, but make sure the bottle itself is off. You do also have your extraction system just here, which you just turn on, and you can just up it or down it for the fan speed, and you can see the fan spin more and more just there. So that's off, 1 fan speed, 2 fan speed, 3 fan speed, off. And then you do have a light just there as well, so you can really see what's cooking. And just turn it off just on that button there. And then just here we have your Dometic fridge. Now this is a 2-way opening door, so you can open it from either side. The only thing to note is that when you do use it, make sure you fully press in the pins, as otherwise you can just take it off. Now to use this, press and hold in on this button. Now this button is also a dial. It will flash up with that screen and come to this part here. So press in once and it allows me to first select the amount of power coming into the fridge. So 1 being your minimum, 5 being your maximum. Even on 5, it's going to take around 4 hours to fully chill. Then I press in to select. So press in again, we'll go down 1. You can choose your source. So right now I'm set on the blue one. Whatever is lit up blue is what it's set to. So it's currently gas. So I've got gas, I've got auto, which will automatically select what the fridge thinks is the best source to use. That battery symbol is representative of your 13-pin electric when you are traveling. It is not representative of leisure battery. Or I've got mains. Now, if I select auto, it will more than likely choose mains when I go back. So you can see switches from gas to mains. Then the last row, this is some additional bits. So you have screen brightness, low and high. Key beep, so when you press in on something, it's going to beep to let you know that it's done. A fridge ventilation system to vent out the air, and then fast freeze just there, which is going to prioritize the fridge over the freezer, over the fridge. Now that screen will naturally die off when it's not in use. As you can see, the fridge lights are on when it's actually on. Then to turn this off, press and hold in. No more lights, fridge is off. And lastly, we have your toilet system, which is bog simple. Lift up the lid, press in your flush button, and you can hear that sound. That sound is the motor pushing through any water that would be inside the system. As it's being fully drained off, there's no water. Press away that handle, opens up the catch, pull it back towards you, and it shuts up. Then just here, essentially you have a little symbol for your cassette. When the cassette is full, that symbol will have a red light underneath it telling you to empty the toilet. Then just here, we do have essentially your auto leveling system. Now I'm not going to use this as I'm currently plugged into mains, but what you would do, you have 2 different choices. You either have manual, which manually you can select each leg to go up or down. So if you're on uneven surface, you could manually choose to do that. As you can see, each corner has a red part, which is representative of the legs. Then you have 2 parts in the middle, which are the stabilizers. Press back to home, and then you have auto. Now for auto, you have auto for the legs up and auto for the legs down. You press either of them buttons and you let it do what it needs to do. Only thing to note, you need to have the nose down when you first come to set it up. So when you press auto down, it will do so, and then you can individually see on each part that the legs are going up or down, because those red bits will turn yellow.